It was announced today that the LCK and the LCP are going to be trialing coach comms during games with a number of restrictions that I think are really important. So first off, it's just a trial program. The LCK specifically is only going to be allowing it during group play of the LCK Cup, so not even during the LCK Cup playoffs. They're not going to have the spectator client based on my reading of it. They're only going to have their own team's POV, so maybe it's like a pro view of one of their players or many of their players. They're not allowed any communication with the outside world, so they're kind of just in the room, basically not allowed to connect to the internet. And then if they leave the room at any time, they're not allowed back in for the duration of the game. And then LCP, you can only have one coach, and LCK, you can have two coaches. So a lot of trade-offs to talk about here. Also, with the communication, there's no pauses, and they're allowed 3 windows a game of 45 seconds. So my goodness. Okay. I don't even know if it's worth it, first off, because the amount of trade-offs to not be able to see the spec client, not be able to see the total gold, and then also not really be able to prep draft or talk to your larger coaching staff if you have an analyst or if you have other people you need to discuss things with during the game, you're going to be locked out of those things. Secondly, it is very easy to be disruptive to your team when a voice is entering the game from essentially out of nowhere. It's not someone who's in the game, it's not someone who's been communicating for most of it. But with that being said, I think there are a few uses that could be positive. So back when I was coaching, I would occasionally talk to the team in comms during scrims, but it's mainly to reinforce things that you were working on throughout the week. So if there is, let's say after Baron, you have a specific way you want to deploy back on the map, that would be a time to go in and say, okay guys, remember, this is how we've been practicing ending games. Or if a team is really struggling for what to do next or where the objective would be, which I think is actually pretty rare with pro players, they almost always have some level of plan, then a coach could probably come in and say something. But the number of trade-offs are really large for what a coach is giving up to be able to talk to his team within the game. And then a disappointing thing from the announcement that I read is that they're not going to be broadcasting any of the coach comms either, which I think would be one of the most entertaining things as a viewer, but I understand the technical limitations of being able to get access to that line and then also having the teams okay to broadcast what would in theory be fairly strategic comms. But kind of a big change if it ends up going wider, but a lot of restrictions and a lot of trade-offs to keep in mind for these coaches that are going to be trying to talk to their team during the game.